Hi everyone, I'm Maddie, and today we will be dissecting The Devil Wears Prada. We will be analyzing the representation of the working woman in films and how women have been reduced to this persona of a doormat, an ice queen, or completely absent from films. We argue that the film reinforces the idea that women must choose between work and family. We would like to encourage you all to actively analyze these representations of women found in film and to think about why women are subjected to the false representation that they cannot manage their work and personal life. We will be examining dichotomous female roles in the workplace through the analysis of the three main female characters in The Devil Wears Prada. We will be focusing on Andy, played by Anne Hathaway, who is representative of the women who lack confidence and aren't viewed as equals in the workplace, and Emily, played by Emily Blunt, who will do whatever it takes to get ahead and be number one, and Miranda, played by Meryl Streep, who is represented as the harsh and bitchy, cold-hearted villain. The Devil Wears Prada is a film that centers on Andy's employment as Miranda's assistant at Runway magazine. Andy is portrayed as a frumpy journalist who has no interest in fashion, and her friends and boyfriend discourage her away from the job because of the intensity of Miranda and her coworker Emily. Andy basically just has to navigate through her personal life and her new work relationships to figure out a balance that satisfies her and what she needs. To begin, let's talk about our three main female characters. First, we have our main female lead, Andy, who represents the woman who lacks confidence in her work and therefore might be taken advantage of by her coworkers. This is evident in her relationship with Emily, who assigns Andy menial tasks and doesn't offer help when Andy is clearly in over her head. Emily represents the cutthroat woman whose drive to succeed compromises her ability to function. Emily's background on her computer is a photo of Paris, reminding her of a work trip that she's been striving to go on. She frequently belittles Andy for her fashion sense and ineptitudes while attempting to promote herself and her own efficiencies. Even after being hit by a car, Emily still doesn't want Andy to go to Paris in her place.
Right, remember you and I have totally different jobs. I mean, you get coffee and you run errands, yet I'm in charge of her schedule, her appointments and her expenses. And most importantly, I get to go with her to Paris for Fashion Week in the fall. I get to wear couture, I go to all the shows and all the parties, I meet all of the designers, it's divine.
Miranda represents the ice queen boss so involved in her career that her personal life falters. Miranda uses her assistants to handle her personal life, scheduling dinners with her husband, attempting to obtain an unpublished book, and trying to get Miranda back home for her daughter's recital in the midst of a hurricane. Because Miranda is unable to be directly involved in the planning of her home life, her previous marriages have ended in divorce, her current marriage is in trouble, and she doesn't seem to get to spend much time with her daughters.
Where are the belts for this dress? Why is no one ready?
Here. It's a tough call. They're so different.
Something funny?
No, nothing's, it's just that both those belts look exactly the same to me, I'm still learning about this stuff and,
This stuff? Oh, okay, I see. You think this has nothing to do with you. You go to your closet and you select, I don't know, that lumpy blue sweater, for instance, because you're trying to tell the world that you take yourself too seriously to care about what you put on your back. But what you don't know is that that sweater is not just blue, it's not turquoise, it's not lapis, it's actually cerulean. And you're also blithely unaware of the fact that in 2002, Oscar de la Renta did a collection of cerulean gowns. And then I think it was Yves Saint Laurent, wasn't it, who showed cerulean military jackets? I think we need a jacket here. And then cerulean quickly showed up in the collections of 8 different designers. And then it filtered down through the department stores and then trickled on down into some tragic casual corner where you no doubt fished it out of some clearance bin. However, that blue represents millions of dollars and countless jobs. And it's sort of comical how you think that you've made a choice that exempts you from the fashion industry when in fact you're wearing a sweater that was selected for you by the people in this room from a pile of stuff.
Although we have identified the main flaws with how each of our lead female characters are portrayed, here are some alternative viewpoints of Andy, Emily, and Miranda. It could be argued that Andy suffers at work simply because she doesn't have a strong interest in fashion and isn't familiar with the industry. Her storyline is also problematic because after her makeover, which isn't drastic but still takes place, she seems to be able to perform better, or at least with more confidence, which perpetuates the idea that a woman's success is directly tied to how she looks.
Miranda Priestley's office? No, actually, she's not available, but I'll leave word. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Emily could simply be seen as driven. She doesn't have many relationships outside of work that we know of, which means her ability to commit to work is perhaps greater than Andy's. If that's the case, then it makes sense she would feel so strongly about her work life and being ahead of her competitors. It is arguable that Miranda's life is a result of her own choices and priorities. Perhaps she wouldn't suffer at home if she spent less time at work. It is also arguable, however, that Miranda wouldn't be expected to be the manager of her household in addition to being a magazine editor if she wasn't female. The pressure for women to have it all is relatively unreasonable and rarely projected onto men, who are freely allowed to work without the guilt complex that many working mothers face. I would like to note that any of these characters can be analyzed from a standpoint of, if she were a man, would we be talking about this? And I would also like to note that the answer would probably be no. I would like to invite you to give us your thoughts on the matter and share with us what kind of working woman you would like to see represented in film. I invite you to join the movement on Twitter with the hashtag #WhereIsShe, asking all the important questions and critically analyzing these representations of the working woman. The hashtag can be used in describing your ideal representation of a female in the workforce. Example, the Latina CEO who has time to run a business and spend time with her family. Hashtag #WhereIsShe. It can also be used as a platform to ask general questions about the women in film today and the woman you would like to see in film tomorrow. Example, the woman who is great at her job and isn't labeled a bitch. Hashtag #WhereIsShe. I hope you all join us in asking more questions, being scrutinous of current representations, and demanding more representations across the board of women, especially of working women.